All right, guys, we're down here on the basement job again, and it is footer day. It's a nice day, but it's gonna be a hot day. Let's go down the hole and check this thing out. All right, so this one here has a lot of similarities to the one we did before, but there are some pretty big differences. Give you a quick tour here. We're using the form-a-drain system again. And again, that stake right there represents the corner of the actual house. These are actually 8-inch walls, so we're going with a 6-inch offset instead of an 8-inch offset. I'll explain that a little bit later as we go on, but basically the core of the block is going to be 8 inches instead of 6 inches. But we got Jason's kind of got everything roughly laid out. We got a string. It's hard to see because it's white this time and not orange. Got the string laid out there. I'll walk you guys through it again, but basically we'll put stakes every 3 feet. Get that on the string so it's straight, get it on grade so it's flat and level, and then we'll come back and fill out any imperfections in our subgrade with some 11s, some rock. I had to come in here, as you guys see me hit rock digging this basement, I had to come in here and clean this up a little bit with the skid steer. I hate to admit it, you guys know my thoughts on skid steers, but I will have to admit that booger is pretty doggone handy down here in this hole. It's earned its keep. So, but the other thing is look at this. We're like up on a knoll, up on a high spot. It hasn't probably rained in, what do you think, Jason? Has it rained in 4 or 5 weeks?
Yeah.
There's water running in this hole. Lovely. Middle of summer, we're still playing in the mud. But it's just right here on the backside. So, oh yeah, one thing I was going to point out, and I'll explain this a little bit more as we get closer, but one of the major differences is this one here is going to have a frost footer. You guys in the northern climates, you completely understand that. The southerners may not get it, but basically this is a walkout basement. I think it'll make more sense as you see us building a house, but we got to sink this footer right here to protect it from freezing is basically what it comes down to. So we're going to keep on carrying on, and we'll check back here in a bit. Okay guys, let me give you a quick tour here, kind of get you caught up to speed. A couple pointers, I don't know, suggestions, way we do it. Basically, it's important to have a stake on your splices or your couplers. When we go back to screw this, we'll actually put 4 screws in here because it'll kind of want to walk. And then we put 2 stakes out in the middle, and the next stake's on the coupler there. Stretch a string on the outside, use the spacer for this side. Spacers go every 3 feet, which you can kind of use a spacer. This is like outside to outside, like 30 inches. So you don't have to be exact, just kind of get it close. We don't go through and mark it with a tape measure. We just kind of take one spacer measure over to measure the other spacer. But we got all of it built all the way around. None of it's on grade. All the stakes are drove. Now there is, every once in a while you run into a scenario like this. I'm going to blame it on the rock. It's definitely the rock. It wasn't the excavator's fault. But we got a little close. I don't know if you guys can see. And you can't get a drill in there to put a screw in a stake. So in that scenario, you can get away with putting the stakes on the inside instead of fighting that mess. Now, as far as elevation goes, we're kind of lucky on this one. It has just to be within a couple inches. And the bottom of this hole is not perfect because of all the rock. We're following the bottom of the rock formation. So basically we just kind of find an average or find the high spot, and we'll set our laser to that and go with it. So that's what we're going to do now. Let's start putting everything on grade. So whenever we go to level these things up and put them on grade, I'll basically take the grader out, put it right here on the corner. We'll put a screw in that stake, hold this one on level. We'll go all the way to the other end to the splice, which is right there. Bring that one up on grade. I do not trust these things for being straight. I don't know if you can see that one over there. It's probably got close to an inch hump in it. It depends on how they store or lay these things. Let's see if I can get down here and get you guys a view of it. Yeah, it's got a big old hump in it. So anyways, after we get both ends pinned, I'll go back and hit it in the middle with the laser just to double check and make sure we're still on grade like we need to be, and we don't have any whoop-de-doos in there. You ready?
Nope. You ready?
I'm waiting on you. I'm just gonna sit down here and take a little break while you're trying to find a hot battery.
I already have a good hot battery. Got one. How long will it last?
Fire up, let them charge. All right, you ready?
Shake it.
All right. Okay guys, as you see, we got this thing on here and up to grade, and you can see from back here, I ain't gonna hide it. You know, the grade falls off there a little bit and then it comes back on contour up there. I promise, I'm not that bad at digging. I ain't that far off. That's actually the bottom of that rock shelf, and there's just no way to leave that thin. It starts off at 2 inches and goes to about 8 inches, so that's what we got the rock for. We'll come back in and take up them imperfections. But what I want to show you is a couple things that's pretty important to remember to do. Is like right here on these couplers, if you don't put a hold on, I got the wrong end back. If you don't put a couple screws right here, you have nothing keeping that from the concrete from shoving that off. Same thing on these couplers up here. They're not as important, but they are just as important. The screw goes through the stake into the coupler here. You want to come over here on this side and put a couple right here. Whoop, come on. We're just using a number 10 riffing screw. Honestly, not because they're cheap, even though you guys see me shopping at Lowe's. They just work really good, and normally I got a bunch of them left over from a roofing job that we just burned up doing this. But that's pretty much the process. We got this one up on grade. We'll go ahead and get it up on grade the rest of the way around, and we'll come back and start throwing some rock in it. Alrighty guys, we have got everything up on grade. It turned out pretty sharp. We're a little bit high over there where that water's draining out. We had some of this material pushed in there. It got wet and mushy. Wasn't really comfortable with it, so we dug some of that out. We're going to put rock back in there instead. But basically at this point, I'm just going to take the skid steer and pack rock in here. And basically what we want to do is, and this is an extreme example, where we want to get that filled up to the bottom of here. So from here down will be rock, and we'll maybe even fill up on here a little bit. It'll help hold the form. If you guys watched the last video, we did this. We used the excavator. I did it from the top, sprinkled it in here. The track hoe is not here, so this time we'll be using the skid steer. We got the frost footer dug, so I got a couple aluminum ramps I brought from home so I can track back and forth across this without tearing too much up. And before I have to answer a gazillion comments about why I dug the frost footer now and didn't wait until after I got the rock in to dig the frost footer, I will answer that question now. So we finished this job up on a Friday, and the thing about this, yeah, we finished it up on a Friday. I had a whole weekend lined up with excavator work. The crew don't work through the week. The crew don't work on the weekends. They just work through the week. So I hauled the excavator out of here. Friday. I worked all weekend making money with it. It's about 2 hours from here. So it's just a logistical. It's just logistics is basically the main reason. So before I hauled it out, I dug the trench. I knew I had the ramps at home. I knew the skid steer was going to be here, so we threw the ramps across the trench, and we can still get in and out. No harm, no foul. Excavator made money all weekend, and yeah, that's the That's the reason I went about it the way I went about it. So let's go get some rock and get her in there. Over the ramp, so. Oh yeah. It's like a skid steer super highway. Outside on the next one so you can see it a little better. Alrighty guys, there's what she looks like with all the rock in her there. Absolutely nothing really fancy, but turned out pretty good. So the next thing we got to do is put rebar in here, and these spacers double as the rebar chair. So basically we'll get 2 runs of rebar and we'll actually tie them to that spacer and it'll hold them where it needs to in the concrete. So I'm gonna go up and cut rebar, hand it down to Jason, and Jason's gonna put rebar in, right?
Right.
That's the plan. Alrighty, here's what it looks like with the rebar all in and tied. Supposed to overlap your rebar. I think it's 20 times the diameter, this 1/2 inch bar. So it's like 20 inches, I believe. Well, I could be wrong. Somebody's gonna comment on my math, I'm afraid. But either way, I'm pretty confident we got substantial overlap. This footer here, local code inspectors, it's 2 runs of 1/2 inch bar, which is number 4, which was we got on there. Have anybody's ever wondered how the rebar tie tool works? Jason here's the expert. You gotta show us. Loop it around, stick the hook through the holes, twist, voila. That simple. All right, the last thing we gotta do is we want the top of this frost footer to be 18 inches lower than our main footer. So what we're going to do to achieve that is the laser is set up to the top of this. So I'll move that indicator up the rod 18 inches. No, I just lied to you. Yeah, no, that's right. Got me second guessing myself. So basically I'll take this and make a mark here, measure up the rod 18 inches, and that'll give us our 18-inch difference. Then I'll show you here, we'll drive rebar pins in the ground. We'll use grade pins on that particular fitter. If anybody's wondering, it's about 97 degrees with a 115 degree heat index. And yes, it's hot. Alrighty, so there's absolutely nothing or fancy to this. Basically, we just drive these stakes in until the top of the stake, the very tip top of the stake, is the height we need. You're probably getting close there. Down about an inch. A little more. Nice. I don't know, we put them about every 4 feet. I don't think you'd want them any farther apart than that. It all depends on the consistency of your concrete too. Go just a tick farther there, Jason. Yep, that'll work right there. Then whenever we go to pour, we will show you how that works. Alrighty guys, there she is with all the grade pins in, everything set to grade and ready to go. We're ready for concrete. Missing one thing, that's a footer inspection. And before you can get a footer inspection, you gotta have a building inspection, or building permit. And absolutely nothing to do with us, but there's been some red tape technical issues with the building permit in the water department. Somehow we got held up over that, but that's all right, no big deal. Everything me and Jason here did, everything Jason and I did today, took about 4.5 hours. We were hoping to pour this afternoon. It's not gonna happen. So we're gonna head back to Derby and wrap up a few other small projects. And hopefully we'll be down here tomorrow and we'll pour, and I'll bring you guys along for that. All right guys, it is the next day. We have got all the red tape cleared up with the building permit. We have got our footer inspection. It went clean, we are good. Concrete should be rolled in here any minute. We're gonna get some footers poured. I'm excited. Actually not really, it's hot. But it has to be done, so let's get it done. All right guys, our first concrete truck is rolling in. We're gonna get him set up and get a couple chutes on him. We should be ready to pour. You're doing good.
Thanks, man.
It's a beautiful elephant trunk you have there. Did you pick that up at Menards, Lowe's, Home Depot, JCPenney?
Well, yeah. Bed Bath & Beyond.
Oh, that's pretty wet there, bud. Hang on, here she comes. Looks about right, don't it?
You're a great cameraman. You can start working.
That's nice. I don't care what anybody says. All right guys, we got the first truck ran off. It went really well. I've actually already got my string up down there. I'm going to use to set the pins to tie the footer and the wall together. This is an 8-inch wall, so we'll come off that string just a little bit farther like so. We'll set one of those boogers every 4 feet down through there. Should be in good shape. Like old Randy's gonna go off-roading here, see if he can make it.
I forgot, we got something warmed up in the greenhouse.
Okay.
We'll pour it up, whatever happens, happens, all right? We know about that.
That'll work, Randy. I got my truck empty and I'm heading to the house. You good with this one?
Yeah, yeah, you good with this quality?
Yeah, that's about what I'd expect out of a Captain Kleeman.
Yeah, I gotta get a boat.
Oh, there she comes. So this is how these things work. There's that grade rod right there. We're basically gonna fill that up with concrete right to the top of it. I usually paint a mark out here on the ground so I can find it, but they're usually not too hard to find. Right there. See it right there? Concrete's right to the top of it. Find the other one in here somewhere. Alrighty guys, there she is in all of her glory. It went pretty well. We're gonna throw some protectors on those rebar for tonight so we can have time to get the walls up, and we're gonna hit the road. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. We will catch you on the next one. High five, Captain, good job.